Hi, this is Federico with Cuddle, and welcome to another video where we explore cool stuff to do with your laser cutter. This video is gonna be all about making inlay earrings. An inlay is when you cut a hole out of your base material and then you cut a plug out of a different material to fill the hole, and this creates some contrast or some visual interest. So I'm gonna show you how to get the perfect press fit between the two materials so your pieces stay in without glue. And if you haven't tried these, or you tried it and got frustrated because you have to figure out things like the Kerf, you know, what the heck is that, right? Don't worry, I think you're in the right place. This is going to be a totally beginner-friendly project, and I'm going to guide you through the process of downloading a pre-made tester and figuring out the right settings. Then I'm going to link you to some free earring designs we're going to be giving away with this video. All of the files I'm going to be showing in this video are free, and I'm going to show you how to find them on the Cuddle website. All right, I'm going to start with the tricky part. But don't worry, because Cuddle is going to solve all these issues automatically for you. I still think it's a good idea to explain what's happening so you have a good understanding of the issue. And I'm going to show you with a practical example. So let's see what would happen if I try to cut these two squares. So I have a big square and a small square, and I want to put the small one inside of the big one. And here on the screen, it looks like they match perfectly. But let's see what happens when I send them to the laser. So as you can see, even as I pull it out of the bed of the machine, the fit is kind of loose. In fact, it is not going to stay together at all. But of course, you could say, what if you cut that center square separately out of a different material? So let's try that. So as you can see here, this little piece of acrylic might even be a little bit worse, even though the square that I cut was exactly the same size. And the reason is that the laser cuts a small amount of material along that cut line. We call this the kerf of the laser, and that is just the amount of material that you lose from the cutting itself. And to deal with this, Cuddle will automatically offset both the hole and the shape so that you can get a tight fit. And I'm going to show you how to figure out just the right amount. Okay, actually, before I show you how, there is one more detail we need to discuss. And it's a sort of fun quirk of how laser cutters operate, and it's nice to know about it. Even though the laser beam can be perfectly perpendicular to the material, so it's straight up and down, it's not going to leave a perfectly perpendicular cut. It actually leaves a cut that's a little bit at a slant. So I set up this microscope so we can look at the side of the cut. I'm going to slide this 1/4 inch of MDF that I cut on my laser, and we can see that the side has a little bit of a slant. So what happens is that when the laser cuts, it burns off a bit more material at the top surface than at the bottom surface. So it results in that kind of slanted profile. Here, I'll highlight it with a line. And it becomes even more evident if I slide another piece right next to it. So we can clearly see that sort of V-shaped void that is left by the laser. And the reason this is relevant for inlays is that we can sort of take advantage of the slant. Check this out. If I flip one of the pieces upside down and then butt them together, you can see how the angle of the slant just matches nicely. In a way, by flipping one of the pieces upside down, the slant sort of cancels itself out. So that's the reason I'm going to be flipping the pieces as I go forward. So with that explanation out of the way, let me show you how you can figure out the right amount of offset to make some inlays. So we developed a Kerf tester that is really easy to use. Let me show you how to find it. So right here, I have a browser window, and I'm gonna go to cuddle.xyz/templates. Here in the front page, I can see the most recent Cuddle templates. Additionally, the templates are organized by categories. I can see the categories on the left-hand side, but I can also browse the cards here on top. So I'm gonna scroll here to find the tools and testers category. So here it is. I'm gonna click on it, see what's available. And the one I'm looking for is this one, the Press Fit Inlay Kerf tester. So let's open it up. And here on this page, I can see a picture of what the tester looks like. And if I scroll down a little bit, I can see where I can download the SVG file to cut it. There are some changes you can make, but we won't be making any changes for this example. Also, a bit further down, there are some instructions on how to use it if you want to review them. But let's go back up over here, and let's grab that SVG file by clicking on the blue download button. Here, I can choose to change the file name if I want to, and I can download a standard SVG, which should work for pretty much any machine, including a Glowforge. But if I click on this menu, there is an option that says Glowforge, which will optimize the file so all the paths are in order for the Glowforge interface. So I'm going to show you how to cut it on the Glowforge, but the same operations should work for Lightburn or Xtool or any other machine. So let's hit that download and let's cut it. So I'm here on the Glowforge website. I'm going to click here on the left to create a new design and upload the file. This is the file I got from Cuddle, so let's grab it and click open. So first, I want to separate the pieces that I'm going to cut out of this medium maple plywood I loaded on the Glowforge. So let's zoom out a little bit. And what I want to do here is grab all these little loose pieces. I'm going to select them and I'm going to set them aside, meaning outside of the work area. And now I'm going to grab this single piece over here and I'm going to place it inside of the work area and in a suitable location for cutting. So let's zoom in a little bit to check out the settings. Glowforge automatically made all the different colors of my design into separate operations and it selected them as cuts, as I can read here on the left-hand side. And as you can see, when I hover over them, the operation gets highlighted on the preview over here. So the important thing I want to change is that this first one, instead of a cut, it should be a score. So I'm going to click on it and I'm going to select the score. And I'm going to choose the high quality score. If you're not familiar with scoring, scoring is very similar to a cut, except that the laser is set at a lower power or at a higher speed. So instead of going all the way through the material, it just leaves a nice mark. And in this case, we want those marks to see the different numbers. So now that I'm ready, I'm going to hit print and send it to the machine. And this is the result. All those inside pieces should naturally fall off and we can get rid of them as we don't need them for the test. After I cut that part, I want to cut out all the other testing pieces, the ones over here. And I loaded a different material on the machine. So I'm going to take this piece outside of the work area and I'm going to bring all the other pieces inside of the work area. This time I'm using some acrylic that I got from Houston Acrylics, and they recommend on their website to use the medium black acrylic setting. And conveniently, the Glowforge went ahead and set this as a score and this as a cut. Let's zoom in just to make sure that things are working. So when I hover over the score, it gets highlighted here as purple. So those are the numbers I want to see. And then this is the cut. If it didn't get selected as a score for you, make sure that is a score so we can see those numbers. So I think this is ready. I'm going to send it to the machine. Next, we need to place each one of the pieces next to its corresponding number as they work as a pair. Now we'll test the fit of each one. Of course, we need to flip them to match the hole, and let's see what 005 can do. It just goes through. So that's not enough. Let's try 006 now. It easily goes in. In fact, it goes in too far. And if I press it lightly from the back, it simply pops out. So that's not great. Let's try it 007 now. The fit is very snug and I actually have to press it hard enough that it clicks in, which is kind of nice. Also, it doesn't easily come out, but let's keep going with the other numbers. Let's see what 008 feels like. It's a little bit snug, but it also makes a click and it feels pretty tight. So this might be a good choice as well. Let's see what 009 can do. It feels very snug and I feel I had to press it much harder. Also, I can feel the edge, so this might be too much. Now let's see the last one. Also quite snug, and I couldn't get it to go all the way in. So I think 007 is a good choice, and 008 was a close second. So from now on, I'm gonna stick with 007. Now that we found a good Kerf setting, let's go make some actual earrings. So I'm back here on the templates page, and I'm gonna look for the jewelry and wearables. The categories can be seen right here on the left or the cards on top. And here's the one that I'm looking for. I'm going to click on it. And if I scroll down, we can see a few options. And all of these designs at the bottom are free. So why don't we check the first one? So right here on top, I have a preview of what the earrings could look like. I'm going to scroll down to see the different options. Here I have a preview of the things I can download. And if I keep on scrolling down, you'll find some resources like the Kerf tester we just used, and then another one for designing your own, which I'm going to cover here in a moment. But let's check these out. So here on the right, we have the place where we can enter the Kerf value we found in the previous step. So you can either click and drag to change the number, or you can click on the field and type the number that worked for you and then press enter when you're done. What we see here on the left is a preview of the earrings that is showing some ear hooks just to give you a sense of scale. If you don't want to see the ear hooks, you can uncheck this box. But regardless, when you download the SVG file, what we're gonna get is something like this. Another option we have is the ability to change the size of the overall earring. So let's go back to the preview here. I'm gonna show the ear hooks, and I can change the scale of the earring by clicking here on this field and increasing it by dragging to the right, or decreasing it by dragging to the left. So the nice thing about this scale setting is that even if I make the earrings really big, the hole for the jump ring remains the same size and the kerf compensation is still gonna work. So let's try and cut these. I'm gonna hit this blue download button to get that SVG. And I'm gonna download the Glowforge version, although you could always download the standard SVG. That's gonna work everywhere. And I'm gonna hit download. So I'm gonna show you how to cut this project using the Glowforge, and I'm gonna give you some tips for the assembly and how to make the process go smoother. So let's move over to the Glowforge website. I'm gonna create a new design and I'm gonna upload the file. I'm gonna grab that last file I just got from Cuddle. And right here, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit to see what we're cutting. And so as you can see, I have the two different sections. These are going to be the acrylic pieces, so I'm just gonna drag them over outside of the work area. And then these are the wooden pieces, and I'm gonna drag them down into a place that I can use to cut. So let's place them right here. And Glowforge automatically set the cut for me. So it's gonna do an inside cut first for the inside hole where the inlay goes, and then it's gonna do the outside cut after that. So let's send it to the machine. And here's a tip. Before I pull the earrings out of the machine, I'm actually gonna mark which side is the top side of the cut by marking it with a pencil on that masking tape. That way I'm gonna be able to press fit that inlay on the right side, taking advantage of the slant we talked about. Now I'm gonna cut the acrylic pieces. So when I load the acrylic, I know this particular one has a sparkly, shiny side, which is the one I wanna be showing at the end. And on the other side is a little bit dull, that's the back side. And I wanna load it on the machine so the sparkly, nice side is facing down, because we'll be flipping those pieces over. So with that acrylic loaded on my machine, I wanna take the wooden pieces out of the work area. So I'm gonna select them and set them aside. And I wanna grab the acrylic pieces, the inside pieces of my cut. And I'm gonna just place them here inside of the acrylic. And this acrylic I'm using is from Houston Acrylics, and they recommend using the medium black acrylic setting for cutting. So these got automatically set up as a cut. So I think I'm good to go. I'm gonna send it to the machine. So here are the wooden pieces. We won't need this section inside. That's gonna be filled with the acrylic. So I'm gonna get rid of it. And here is the acrylic inlay with the nice side facing down. So I'm gonna flip it to place it onto the wood. And I'm not gonna press it in quite yet. I'm gonna go ahead and place the other one, also a flip. And to do the final pressing, I'm actually gonna use a piece of scrap that covers the whole thing so the pressure is applied evenly. We found out that this way you get the best results. An alternative is to hit this piece of scrap with a mallet to set your inlay. At this point, I feel I can remove the masking tape that has the marking on it. And now it's time to add the findings. I'm gonna go with this pre-made ear hook and a jump ring. To open the ring, you wanna grab it with a pair of pliers and twist it sideways like this. Here's the one for the other earring. Now I'm gonna thread it through the hanging hole, and then I'm gonna place the ear hook on it. And to close it, we'll twist it in the same fashion using two pliers. Something I like to do is to rotate the ring so the seam is hidden inside the wood. I think that gives it a cleaner look. Now I'll repeat the same operation on the other side. I'm gonna twist the ring in, then I'm gonna hang the hook on it, and I'll twist it closed using two pliers. And the final touch is to rotate it to hide that seam. And of course, there are a couple more designs to be found on the wearables section of the templates page. Let's take a quick look at them. There are these cat face earrings, and this one is based on the silhouette of the black cat that lives in my house. And as you can see, the settings are pretty much the same. You can choose the scale, and you can enter the curve that you found out previously. And let's go back and take a quick look at the other design, the curve wedge with an inlay. And as you can see, the settings are quite similar. You can make your changes and download your SVG when you want to play with these. I think this inlay technique is really cool because you get to combine different materials in a very efficient way because you don't need any glue and the transition between the two of them is very clean. So I hope you learned something today and I hope you're now empowered to go give inlays a try using these starter projects. We're going to be releasing a part 2 to this video where I'm going to show you how to design your own earrings using your own shapes and ideas. So check that one out too. And if you found this video helpful, you can help the channel by clicking like and subscribing. And thank you so much for watching.